Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over the Øresund once again. We're going to return to Copenhagen in Denmark and we're revisiting one of my favourite Danish breweries. These guys started off as a gypsy brewery, but very recently of course they've made the transition to having their own production facility. So exciting times ahead for these guys, and we've got one of their first beers that they've released from this new facility to review today. For this one then we are going to go back to Toul. And we're going to have a taste of the Whirl Domination today, which is an IPA coming in at 6.2% ABV. So this beer was released here in Sweden on the 3rd of April 2020 through the Tillfälligt assortment, small partiers, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, hopefully it's another good one. I think the last beer that I reviewed from these guys was the Dangerously Close to Stupid. Either that or it was Julmerk, I forget, but I had two very nice beers from these guys not all that long ago. I think I had the Garden of Sweden just before that as well, which was a sort of fruit IPA, which was kind of interesting. But really curious to see how this one turns out. I think this is a New England IPA, this one, and if so, I think this is the first New England hazy type IPA that I've had from these guys. So hopefully it turns out to be really nice, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. Definitely exciting times ahead for Toul now that they have their production facility out at Svinninge. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Toul before. No doubt you will see some more in the near future, hopefully more now since they've probably got a bigger production capacity than previously. We'll maybe get more of them over here in Sweden. You can check out the brewery's social media and stuff like that. You'll find that down there. My social media is down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I get the opportunity, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then to tell you a little bit about Toul. So, as I've told you before, Toul was founded by Tobias Emil Jensen and Tore Gainter, who were students of Mikael Bjergso, the big boss over at Mikkeller, the other famous Danish gypsy brewery. But originally they brewed with him in their school kitchens till around 2005, and then they continued to homebrew until about 2010 when they first officially founded Toul, which in Danish of course means two beers. So when Mikael heard that his former students were still brewing, he insisted that they do a collaboration brew together, and this was what went on to become the first commercial Toul beer, and it was simply called the Double IPA. But they very quickly built a strong reputation for themselves, and with the help of Mikkeller they managed to distribute their beers worldwide from very early on, actually using a lot of the same channels. And of course it's Mikael's brother Jeppe who is the big boss at Evil Twin, and I think those two work quite a lot together in distributing the beers. There's a lot of work goes on between Mikkeller, Evil Twin, and I think Toul have kind of used a few of the connections that they have there as well, quite understandably. But when as is the case with Mikkeller, for a very early time, or from the very early times, this brewery were a gypsy brewery, so they didn't have their own equipment and they used the spare capacity at other large breweries. In Nørrebro in Copenhagen they had a collaborative beer bar with Mikkeller, which is still there. It's called Mikkeller and Friends, and the bar had an exclusive bottle shop and 40 different tap beers. But they also now have the Bruce brew pub in Copenhagen, which opened back in 2016, and this was in partnership with Christian Gadient, who is now and there is now a second Bruce bar in Oslo up in Norway as well, which should be quite interesting. Hopefully I can go and visit that one, because from what I gather the Bruce bars are allowed to basically operate as separate entities, so essentially you've got completely different beer styles and things like that operating out there, which is quite exciting. But they're also co-owners in the various different Mikkeller and Friends venues, which now includes the bar in Reykjavik and also the bottle shop in Torvehalen in Copenhagen, which is the lovely little food market, and they also own the Coolship and Micropolis bars in Copenhagen as well. So if you want to try a lot of different Toul beers, you can also go and check out Coolship and Micropolis. I need to go and see those actually, but I want to go to Bruce and film an out and about video. That's probably my next thing when I make it back over to Copenhagen, but we need to see when the border opens up, of course. But as of 2019, these guys now have their own production facility at Sjaelland on Sjaelland, which has a 150,000 square metre floor space, which is pretty impressive. I think it was a former fruit factory, or it was some kind of food factory, this place. But they plan to have a clean side of the brewery, which has a large German Braucon kit, and this brewery side of the brewery is going to be run by Tim. There's also going to be a sour side of the brewery with fodders and a cool ship for producing all the different sour beers that they want to do, which will be done by Nathan Borey, and there's also a lot of space there for barrel aging and things like that as well. But this is now fully up and running from what I understand, and the first beers were released from this Toul City production facility, as they're calling it, in March of 2020, and this is the first one that has made it over here to Sweden. So yeah, it should be a really interesting one. There is a beer called IPA number 1, which I would love to review, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that, especially if I was thinking of going over to Copenhagen you know, around the sort of middle of April, but obviously that's on hold because of all the virus things at the moment. So maybe I can get a hold of that. Hopefully they rebrew that so other people can get it too, but it would be great to be able to try the IPA number 1 from Toil as well. But that's all you really need to know about these guys for the moment. As I've told you before, these guys are one of my favourite breweries. I think my favourite breweries generally. I mean, the Dangerously Close to Stupid that I reviewed before, that was a beautiful West Coast IPA. Yule Milk is lovely. First Frontier is a great beer as well. I'm trying to think what else I've had from these guys over the year. I need to try the By Other Means, but one of my favourite beers that Toil ever did was Black Malts and Body Salts. That was just a beautiful, beautiful Imperial Black IPA. I still think that's one of the best black IPAs that's out on the market, actually. So if you ever get the chance to try black malts and body salts from Toil, I really recommend that you do. I also need to try their 8-ball porter, I think it's called as well. There's one of the porters, an Imperial Porter, that I really need to look at. But yeah, that's all you need to know about Toil. If you want to learn more, of course, you can check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And of course, you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to see all the different things that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this one then. It's nice to return to these guys after quite a wee while. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. There you can see it's a little bit different from the other Toil beers that I've had before. A number of the other ones have that sort of newspapery, almost like Poison Penny type artwork to them, and some of them have got really nice graphic style things as well. But I guess when you're brewing as many different beers as Toil, you've probably got a lot of different artists on retainer and things like that that you can that you can use. So yeah, this one it's nicely presented, very kind of minimalist compared to some of the other ones from Toil. But yeah, 6.2% IPA. This one, I suspect this is a New England IPA, and if it is, I think this is the first New England IPA I'm trying from Toil, which is strange. It feels, these guys have been around for ages, and I've just never tried a hazy IPA from them. That's really weird. But yeah, 440ml can. This one, as I said, released through the Tillfälligt assortment in Systembolaget on the 3rd of April, or the 4th, I forget, 3rd or 4th of April 2020. So yeah, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. I'm really curious about this. It's 6.2% IPA, and yes, it's a New England. You can see as soon as we open that up. So yeah, this is going to be good, I think. I have to admit, I'm quite excited for this one. So there we go. As you can see with this one then, it's poured a lovely kind of bright, that's a very bright yellow colour, this one. It's almost like a kind of mango juice, this one. It's not quite, it's maybe got a little bit of a mango pineapple juice mixed to it, because it does have a little bit of that paler thing that you'd normally associate with with pineapple juice, of course. But it looks very, very nice, this one. I like how it goes together. There's a solid half finger of quite a bumpy white head. That's going to fade away very quickly to just be a very thin foamy layer on top of the beer. If I stick my fingers behind the glass, you can see this one has some really, it's got a really, really nice opacity to it, this one. It is pretty damn hazy, this. It's not the haziest and most soupiest of IPAs that you're going to come across in the New England style, but it does look pretty nice. I mean, the higher you go up the alcohol scale with these, the hazier and hazier they're going to get, because you've got to have more malts and oats and everything like that in this one. But yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma of this one then and see how we get on. Oh, that smells really nice, actually. I think this is Idaho 7. there's something in here straight away that makes me wonder, is this Idaho 7? It's got a lovely, very, very soft kind of tropical fruit hop to it. Could it be like Brew 1 or something as well? Brew 1's got these lovely kind of tropical, light tropical fruit notes to it as well. So yeah, for me, there's a bit of orange. You know, there might be a wee bit of Sabro or something. Could it be Idaho 7 and Sabro that's in this? Yeah. This is a really nice smelling beer, this. I mean, it's got everything you would want from the New England category. So straight away, we'll focus on the malt base first, and then we'll let the fruits develop a little bit. So you can get that nice kind of white bready, kind of pale malty type quality. You can really feel that forming the base of this beer. It doesn't, in the aroma, it doesn't come across as too wheaty and bitey or too oaty and creamy. It kind of comes across as being a little bit more crisp and drinkable, to be honest with you. But yeah, you do get that sort of white bready thing that you expect. You can pick up a little bit of creaminess from the oats, but as I say, it doesn't dominate. The wheatiness in this one, it does have a little bit of bite towards the back, but again, it's not too prominent. The malt base really comes across as being quite well balanced. There's a wee bit of a nice kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity quality in there as well. Yeah. The malt base, I like how this malt base goes together actually. It does strike me like it's going to be quite a light, almost crisp one with all the kind of flavour that you'd expect. I suspect you'll get a wee bit of the wheaty bitiness at the back and then a bit more of the oaty creaminess at the front, and then, you know, you'll get some of that more biscuity sweetness in the middle of your palate too. But the way that the malt base comes out in the aroma, it comes across as quite light, quite crisp, but also the more and more that I smell of it, it does start to smoothen out a little bit. So, you know, maybe it'll thicken up in the flavour, who knows. But I really like how the aroma in this one goes together. That malt base really is very nice, so thumbs up to Towel for that. As you'll know if you've watched the channel before, I'm a bit of a sucker for a nice malt base on a beer. In terms of the fruity, the hoppy side of things then, for me the green side of this beer, there's a teeny little bit of earthiness to this one, and it's not really that floral. I find this beer really to be more grassy in terms of the green side of the hops. But on the fruity side though, you've got lots of lovely kind of soft tropical notes to this one. It's definitely got a little bit of that kind of mango-y quality to it. You've got the you do have a little bit of the darker kind of passion fruit, which you're always going to get. I think there's Idaho 7 in this, maybe Brew 1, could be something like that. It's got these lovely kind of soft tropical stone fruity type qualities. But yeah, you've got a lovely you've got a lovely kind of light juicy note to this, some sort of papayas, apricot-y notes in there. But it really comes across as very, very light. I don't know, I want to say there's a wee bit of pineapple to this. I think there's a wee touch of a kind of lighter pineapple note to this one, and it's papayas. I don't really get so much apricot out of it, and there is a wee bit of that kind of mango-y note. The darker kind of passion fruity notes are a bit different. And I do wonder if there is a little bit of a kind of orangey note in this. I don't think it's Mosaic. It could be Sabro or something like that. There could be a little bit of that lighter Sabro-y type quality, because I think Sabro can give you a bit of tropical note and also a little bit of an orangey quality as well, from what I remember. But I will say this is definitely one of the softer, kind of lighter tropical fruit smelling IPAs that you're going to come across. The aroma of this is very, very nice actually, and it strikes me as quite different compared to some of the other hazy New Englands that I've had over the last little while. So really curious to try this one, I have to say. A nice light crisp malt base and some light juicy fruity notes, and quite grassy on the green side of things. So yeah, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this beer before you get stuck into it, but we're going to taste this one now. This one is the Whirl Domination, a 6.2% New England IPA from Towel. This one now brewed at Svinninge, the Towel City facility over on Sjaelland in Denmark. Let's get stuck into this one. Slanja, skål, and good luck to Towel with their new brewery. Cheers. That's really nice actually. It's very light, very crisp, and I don't know if it's right to say it's crisp. It's a very, very drinkable New England IPA, this one. Is this the boldest beer that Toil have done? I don't think so, but it is pretty damn nice. You know, the beers that, as I say, the beers that I've had from Toil, I think it's just kind of been luck of the draw. The ones that I've picked, or a lot of the ones I've picked, have tended to be the beasts, the black malts and body salts, the dangerously close to stupid, the Yule milk. You know, they've just been monsters. This is one that's a little bit more. This is a kind of more everyday beer, almost. I think this is one that's not intended to be just an absolute monster. I think this is a kind of more middle of the road, easy going beer, but it kind of shows you it really is very nice and drinkable, this, and that's what you want from these New England IPAs. So yeah, thumbs up, pardon me, to Toil for this one. I do want to try the IPA number 1, or double IPA number 1, whatever it's called. I think that could be really interesting, but you know, this is pretty good, I have to say. Yeah, that's nice. So let's try and break down the flavour of this one then. So straight away you can feel that kind of white bready, pale malty quality. That blankets the middle of your palate. It's actually a little bit, the mouthfeel of this one's quite interesting, because it almost comes across as like a little bit kind of chalky or something. It really has, the way that bread kind of comes in, it just blankets very quickly, just like that. It just really blankets the middle of your tongue actually, but it's very smooth, and as I say, when you go further towards the front of the palate, it almost just comes across as being a little bit kind of chalky. If you go towards the back of the palate, it's got a little bit of that kind of wheaty bitiness that you expect. Further forward, you've got a little bit more of the, you do have a little bit more of the kind of oaty creaminess, but I'd say the oaty notes in this beer are quite subtle compared to others actually. I think the oatiness in this beer is not quite as thick and creamy as you're going to find from others in this style bracket. Yeah, I mean, I think this one, it really does come across, I know oats are part of the malt base, but this one really does come across as more malt leaning rather than oaty leaning within the New England category. And in fairness, as you drink more and more of this beer, it does kind of thicken up a little bit on the middle of the palate, but it actually, this one in some ways reminds me of those IPAs that were going around for a while, where it was just pale malt and they were blasting them with hops. In some ways this beer reminds me of like a New England version of those, because it is a very kind of flat malt base in a lot of ways. It strikes me as being very, it's almost got a bit of crispness to it because of how flat. As I say, it's this kind of almost chalky mouthfeel, and I do like it. I mean, this is an easy drinking beer, but I'm used to the New England IPAs just being a little bit smoother on the front of the palate than this one, rather than, it's almost a little bit dry and chalky in a kind of way. It's unusual, that. So yeah, I need to try a few other New England IPAs from these guys and see what they're like, but I do like how this one goes together. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again, but I'd be curious to see what some of their others are like. This is the first time I'm trying a New England from Toil, as I said. And in fairness, actually, when I focus on the front of the palate, you do get a little bit of the oatiness, and then it just kind of fades away. The oatiness, I think, dries out in this one, so pay attention to the front of your palate when you take this beer in, because you will get the oatiness just behind the fruity part of the palate, and then it just kind of dries out a little bit. I find the centre of the palate and this beer dries out a little bit, and as you go further into the aftertaste, you will get a little bit of that, of a little bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive-y type sweetness out of this one. I think they said it was Golden Promise that was in this, and it does give you that almost McVitie's digestive type biscuity quality to the beer, so there's definitely some of that in this one, which is interesting. So yeah, malt base, as I say, back of the palate, it's a little bit more kind of wheaty and bitey. As you come further forward, you can feel it dry out a little bit, and then you do get a bit of the kind of oaty creaminess in the beginning when you take the beer in, but then it dries out, and in the centre of the palate you've got a wee touch of kind of biscuity sweetness, and that comes out the further you go into the aftertaste as well. In terms of the hoppy side of things then, the back corners of the palate, there is a wee bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel the earthiness is quite minimal, to be honest. It really gets a lot more kind of floral and aromatic as you reach the front corners of the palate, and then as you go round the front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy in my mind. And then behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity esters start to push their way out of the beer. So yeah, this one, as the aroma was kind of showing earlier, this is quite a soft tropical fruit leaning New England IPA. I think it's Idaho 7 or Brew 1 that's in here. There's just something in my head that's telling me that's what it is. So if you go to the back of that oily bubble, you've got a wee bit of a kind of passion fruity. You do have a little bit of that darker passion fruity note there, but as you come forward from that, it very quickly makes the transition to being more mango-like and more sort of papaya-like. It's a very soft tropical note out of this one. I think it's more papayas than apricots, to be honest with you, in this one. And there is a wee bit of a kind of pineapple-y edge there. And as you reach the kind of front part of the palate, there maybe is a little touch of orange. I really think there's Idaho 7 in here. It's the very light, soft, tropical fruit notes that are making me think Idaho 7. But yeah, I want to say there is almost just a wee teeny hint of an orangey note to this one, but I think there's something in my mind that's making me doubt that it's Sabro. As I always say, I like playing guess the hops with these beers, but there is something in my mind that makes me doubt that I was right about the Sabro element with this one. I think I probably was wrong there. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Idaho 7, maybe Brew 1 or something like that. So yeah, as you come further forward towards the edge of this one, as you just get behind the very kind of front edge of your tongue, there is a wee bit of a kind of lemony zestiness to this beer. Could it be a little bit of Centennial or something perhaps? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, I do want to say there's Idaho 7 in this. Potentially a little bit of Brew 1 or something like that. But really this is a very soft, kind of tropical, fruity leaning IPA, but it does have a little bit of a kind of citrusy edge on the front of the palate too. But overall, the flavour of this one is really nice. This is a very kind of soft, sort of drinkable New England IPA, this one. I really like how all of it goes together. I mean, it's got a very nice just kind of drinkability to it. That's the thing with Toil. As I said earlier, most of the beers that I've had from these guys were just beasts, but this is definitely, I think, one of the more kind of reserved, drinkable type beers that I've had from them. And you know, it always is good to do that with a brewery and let it take you back down to earth a little bit. So yeah, it's not the boldest of beers that you're going to come across from Toil, I think, in the New England category, but it's definitely worth having a go at and seeing what you think. This is a nice, easy drinking New England IPA and definitely worth trying. So in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say that this beer, I think it's fairly kind of mid-bodied. Yeah, I think it's at the kind of bottom end of mid-bodied. Carbonation does have a little degree of crispness to it. And incidentally, in this one, I don't think there's much. I think there might be a little teeny hint of Pilsner malt in this at the back of the palate to give you the crispness. So there is a wee bit of crispness to this beer. It's got an interesting sort of wetness to it as well, and that sort of helps push out some of the nice kind of floral, aromatic notes on the side of the palate as well, and some of the kind of citrusy qualities as well. I like how that, how all of that goes together. In terms of the overall mouthfeel, I would say that this one it's quite smooth, but at the same time it's got an interesting wetness to it. In terms of IBUs and bitterness, it's got a nice, it does have a nice little bit of that. I think this is maybe about 30-ish IBUs, maybe 40. I think it might have a little bit more. It does feel a little bit more kind of bitter on the sides, but it could just be the freshness of it, in fairness. So I think 30 or 40 IBUs with this beer. Malt base, like I said, is very smooth. It's got a little degree of sweetness to it, and it's a bit creamier in the beginning, and it dries out. I find the malt base in this beer does dry out a little bit, and then of course with the fruity side of things, you've got a nice kind of softness and juiciness, but also a little bit of a lemony, zesty quality to this beer at the front of the palate too. But overall, a really, really nice tasting beer, this one. and I'm glad that I was able to review this. It's nice to see Toyo making their way back over here into Sweden again. I wish we got their beers a little bit more regularly, but hopefully now that they've got the Toyo City at Svinninge, it gives them a bit more capacity to send a few more beers over this way. But of course I will try and pick up some in Copenhagen as well. I always enjoy a good beer from Toyo, and I do want to go and film an out and about video at Bruce. That's one of my next projects for over in Copenhagen actually, so you'll see that at some point soon once the whole virus thing has cleared. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Whirl Domination, an IPA, New England IPA, coming in at 6.2% ABV from Toyo, now based in Svinninge on Sjaelland in Denmark, but still operating very heavily out of Copenhagen. So yeah, one of my favourite Danish breweries, and it's nice to try something a little bit more kind of sessionable and less in your face, I guess you could say, from them. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Toyo as well. We will definitely return to these guys at some point soon. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Make sure you check out this brewery, and I will catch you guys later. The Whirl Domination, a 6.2% New England IPA from Toyo, now based in Svinninge on Sjaelland in Denmark. Slange, skål, cheers.